Obia wono every Nigeria, Professor Lumumba wono every Kenya, wono the former chairman of the Anti-Corruption Commission for Kenya, and wononso eba se anka obaba bekasa. Then you have Julius Malema, from the Economic Freedom Fighters political party and our movement. I don't know what South Africa is as well, a South African parliamentarian, and still Pan-Africanist. We know for several times on occasion the issues I will raise about leadership in Africa and the kwanya yefaso niema. Na mayenko na yentie Peter Obi, the candidates in the just ended Nigerian election. Na yentie di ono eka. He was booked as a guest for this particular convention, but entime ambaso ma yentie omo embra.
Previous speakers have said we might not be at the convention, but that will not stop the conversation. We only shifted venue, so the conversation continues. We're in Ghana to start the conversation about Africa. Africa for too long has suffered, and everybody knows the reason why Africa has suffered. People can try to present it in different stages. The Prof speaks about it every day. Africa has been going through what it's going through because of what I always say, that it is due to one problem: leadership. It is failed leadership over the years that brought Africa where it is. I want to start a conversation because of what Dr. Arikana has said, talking to the youth of Africa. No continent in the world today has the potential of Africa. Not one. We are the second largest in terms of population and size, but our potential is far greater than even number one, because today Africa is the only continent that have a population of 1.1 billion youths, energetic, talented, ready to leave the world in different areas of the world. Africa is home to the biggest, highest amount of natural resources, from minerals to, we have 65% today of the world all cultivated arable land.
92.9.
So imagine what we can do. We can feed the world. We can do everything. But ironically, because of what I started with, failed leadership over the years, Africa is also home to the highest number of poor people. Out of the 700 million people in extreme poverty today, 431 million live in Africa. Over 30% of our population.
And so that is Peter Obi, a one-time presidential candidate in Nigeria. And I would say, Kasano lamenting about the conversation that they seek to have, beginning with Ghana, the conversation that has to do with Africa's welfare and development. You heard him right. Now, you talk to Professor Lumumba, one so much happy. Medical Kajose. He's the former chairperson at the Kenya's Anti-Corruption Agency. Now, he also was booked as a guest and now SSA with me Ebekasa at the convention. Na afe one so ninyansa any day want to see my ebetimi aboa ma Africa. Every situation you want me, yet me every more. Now, this is what he's got to say about the inability of the event to happen on the 7th of January.
I believe for all of us, we came here to Accra, Ghana, to share our message the message of hope, the message that Africa needs at this time. And there is no better place in the continent of Africa to begin that message than Accra, Ghana. It is in this Accra, Ghana, that the Osagie for Kwame Nkrumah, almost 67 years ago, spoke to the world and told the world that the independence of Ghana meant nothing if the continent of Africa was not free. 67 years later, we were congregating here in Accra, in the very same place where the founding fathers and mothers of Ghana congregated to share the message of hope. Invited as we were by the New Africa Foundation, with one single instruction that we have lamented for too long, agonized for too long, and the time is now to organize. That is the innocent message that we came here to deliver. And in a manner totally inexplicable to us, we are not at that venue. But is it not the wise to say, when the world serves you a lemon, ask not for an orange, make yourself lemonade? We are here, therefore, to say that the message will be alive and well. And you who are here, young and old, you are the conduit via which we are now telling the world that the journey of hope continues apace, not only within the continent of Africa, which is the mother continent, but to Africans in the diaspora. I have no doubt in my mind that there is a conspiracy of sorts by the elements that it should happen the way it has happened. So this is not an occasion for lamentation.
That is Professor Lumumba speaking to us, or no, Kenyan, and pay what he the Kombono. Now, they were not so much happy about the cancellation of the event. Event Nankasa was scheduled to take place on the eve of a year. 7th of January, the Black Star Square and Independence Square. Better still, Amaso na wamo edro hono na police for any military were all over preventing them entry into the grounds. And that is what happened. Now, ma yenko na yenkoti nana Kwame Bediako dodo na no efreni cheddar. Openly, he has said, say, billboards as at last year, Yehun said, SCC Chroma Yatroso, the new force. Na Max no SSS, no he's the one behind the Max. Mayanko no Emra. As much as we have our reservation on that particular development, ma yentie cheddar na Yemra.
I grew up in a farmland somewhere in Ghana. And I was birthed by a woman who is a spiritualist. And she raised me on a farmland. But she raised me with the fear of the Lord. And she gave me a capital. The capital was the advice she gave me. She said, son, learn how to give to the world, and the world will always come embracing you. I took those words with me. And that was the beginning of the birth of the New Africa Foundation. That wasn't the name then, but we were givers. So we have been givers for 3 decades. And it grew, and it grew, and it grew. But I thought that having a foundation was just about giving. As it was growing, I realized that it's also about being responsible for for the society you belong to. And that's how today we're sitting here. 7 months ago, I decided that the greatest voices in Africa should come together and start to speak for how Africa should be governed by Africans and not foreigners and not other people who are interested in whatever resources that we have in our countries. But we should be responsible for our own human resource and mineral resources. And the only way to do that is to industrialize our people and our minerals. So I want to use this moment to first of all thank all of you to accept this invitation. How would I have thought of myself that coming from a farmland, 6-year-old boy that didn't have anything, would one day call upon people like you, and you accept it. A young man like me, people that can birth me, people that can be my aunties, my uncles, my leaders, my presidents. But you listened to the voice of the young man, and you came here to speak to the youth and the people of Africa. They say the greatest creation, or the most pinnacle creation, is the human's mind, and it must be used for a good purpose. Africa is lacking education, but not the type of education like Doctor was talking about. The sort of education that should come from our own. How to learn about our own resources. How to know to add value to our people. When you take value away from people, you stop the economy of your own country. You stop the growth of your own country. When you the country starts to grow. And Africa is about to grow because we are ready.
All right, 16 after 8. This is Skillsbed 92.9 on DSTV. We are live on channel 364, Go TV channel 121, and we are live around the world on Facebook on Skillsbed TV. And to me the messages no afaso ede about the leader for the New Africa Foundation speaking to us and on that development and that is what happened on the 7th of January. Ebabesi and Bra and Anope about it was an emergency situation, a state event, na SSN Ekoso Ewoho. And that is what happened. Na Mame Embra Rafren Ponso, na Mintieno a bit on this one, na Afe Yambra. And Brad, the NDC a press conference led by the national chairman, Ura Johnson, Don Ketia, and Ma Yenti Anonso Kakra. About the issues the NDC raising one more raising concerns about the fact that President Akufo-Addo expecting John Dramani Mahama, the former president, to congratulate him on his victory in 2020. Raj Johnson has said there be Emma for the president to think of that, rather no obampenyi as I said wadwe nipa nwotwe a womo nkwa during the 2020 elections na afi ohese prepare ye ebetimi aye ejuma. Now he raises concern about the Electoral Commission and indelible ink womo epese womo taken out of the voting process. Now Johnson Esiedun Ketia says that say no ebeye recipe for disaster. Because Obi Kotoa Ba, how are we going to determine se asumesi anase obenti watimi ato naba etimi ewie? Enti Electoral Commission must be cautioned rather or make a humble appeal to the civil society organizations any asofo mpanyimfo mosori a moto santre na mosanlai eba NDC headquarters se mone womo ba be kasa adwobrel yemfa pepepe enye adwuma na afi 2024 abatu ono enkoyen wase saa ahoɔden ni energy na mo no mo fantu Electoral Commission nefo because indelible ink no easy aye na dwen se obeye free ho no a recipe for disaster. Ma yenti ora sie don ketia emra na yeba na na frempon ebebem.